Hi, my name is Theresa Wagner, and I am the Assistant Branch Manager at the Johns Island Regional Library. Today I'd like to tell you about one of my favorite places to visit, the Lowlands of Scotland. So during my senior year of college, I had the opportunity to visit Edinburgh and the surrounding historic sites around Scotland as part of a study abroad program through the College of Charleston and the University of Southern Mississippi. It was a British studies program where we visited sites related to the history of the royal crown in both England and Scotland. And so Scotland is a beautiful country, as anybody who's seen pictures or movies set there. Edinburgh itself has a lot of points of interest, like Houses of Parliament or Edinburgh Castle, and also historic churches and the blend with the newer buildings in the city center. So it's the hub of culture and political life in Scotland today, and they celebrate the past quite well, and it's a blend of the old and the new whenever you're in Edinburgh. Today I'd like to focus specifically on one of the castles that I went to go see. We went to go see Stirling Castle, which is it's located near Stirling outside Edinburgh. It's probably about an hour bus ride to go visit the castle, but so it was parts of it were built as far back as the 12th century, but the physical spaces that I saw were a date from 1490 to 1600. It has an incredible view when you're on the balcony, as you can see from some of these pictures, and also the garden is absolutely gorgeous. When we were walking around the garden, it was a cool 55 degrees in the middle of July, which was amazing. It made me really miss it whenever we have those very warm days here in South Carolina. But yeah, so the castle also features a great hall and includes pieces of artwork like this wall hanging, and even the functionality of the stained glass windows are also pieces of art in and themselves. And so this was the fortress for many years, and then you can even see the town of Stirling view from the castle itself. And so if you enjoy these photos. Also, I'd like to, Scotland has a very deep folklore history, and so I chose a fairy tale from a collection of historic Gaelic fairy tales from Scotland's history. The National Library of Scotland actually has an online archive of all of these, and I'm sharing one with you today. Now, I am reading an English translation because I do not speak Gaelic, and I would understand it if I did. So I am reading an English translation, so some of the phrases and words may sound a little bit strange, but just keep in mind this is a translation of a story that was passed down and spoken over time. The name of this story is called The Cantollen Changeling. There was living in Cantollen a woman who had a male child with neither the growth nor the bloom of other children of his age. From morning to evening, he would not cease 1 minute before crying, and would eat more food than was natural for the like of him. It was harvest, and there was not a person on the farm who could draw a sickle, but was out in the weeping field, except for the mother of the child. She too would have been out there if not for fear that the nasty screaming thing would break his heart crying, if she would leave him in the charge of any other person. It happened that there was at the time a tailor in the house making clothes. This tailor was a shrewd and observant man, and he was but a short time there when he became suspicious of the lad in the cradle. "You," he said to the woman, "may go to the reaping, and I will care for the child." The woman went away, but she had barely taken her feet over the threshold when the withered object she had left behind began shrieking and crying loudly and sorely. The tailor listened to him a good while, and keeping his eye on him, till he was sure that he was nothing but a changeling. He now lost patience with him and cried him in a sharp, angry voice, "Stop that music, lad, or I'll put thee on the fire." The crying ceased for a while, but afterwards it began a second time. "Art thou at it again, piper of the same tune?" said the tailor. "Let me hear that music any more from thee, and I will kill thee with the dirk." When the fairy beheld the frown on the tailor's countenance and the dirk in his hand, he took such a fright that he kept quiet a good while. The tailor was a cheerful man, and to keep him from wearying, he began to hum a tune. In the middle of the music, the ugly elf raised a loud howl. But if he did, he was not allowed to go on with his warble but a very short time. The tailor leapt off of his work table, went dirk in hand to the cradle, and said to the fairy, "We have enough of that music. Take the right great bagpipes and give us a good tune on them, or else I'll put a dirk in thee." The fairy sat up in the cradle, took the pipes which he had somewhere about him, and struck up the sweetest music the tailor had ever heard. The reapers heard it in the field, and instantly dropped their sickles and stood listening to the fairy music. At length they left the field and ran in the direction whence the music came. But before they reached the house, the tune had ceased, and they knew not who had played or from whence they came. When the reapers returned home in the evening, and the tailor got the mistress of the house alone, he told her everything that had happened while she was at the reaping, and that her child was nothing but a changeling. He then told her to go with him to the Ardhill side of the bay, and to throw him in the loch. She did as was told to her, and stood as the nasty little elf touched the water. He became a big gray-haired old man, and swam to the other side of the bay. When he got his foot on dry land, he cried to her that if he had known beforehand what she was going to do, he never would have made her think of doing such a thing again. She returned home and found her own child at the door before her, hale and sound. Again, that story is available from the National Library of Scotland, and also if you're interested in learning more about speaking Scottish Gaelic, or Scottish Gaelic, has some pronounce it, be sure to check out Mingo Languages. It is one of the courses available in the Mingo Languages from the library's website, which you can find in the resources page on the library's website. And I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the other tales and travel in this series. Thank you.